welcome to PHOTONewsTV. I'm your host, Will Prentice, and today I've got my special guest, Honey, Executive Vice President of Looking Adorable. Today's episode is all about pet photos. So we're going to take a look at a typical setup that I use for pets, and I'll show you a couple of shots of the results here, as long as she doesn't chew on me here. No, she's a tired girl. So let's take a look at the equipment used, and I've got some tips on how to get some great photos of pets. Right, honey? Yes. Here we go. So before I bring any pet into the studio, I want to make sure that I've got everything set up. I've got my fill light off on this side with an umbrella that's feathered slightly off center. That way it'll fill in shadows on the opposite side of my main light, which is over here. I've got a 24 by 36 softbox for my main because I want that directional quality. It's also a reflective silver instead of white because I want a little more specular highlights, especially in the eyes. That's where you're going to notice that. They're both set at about 45 degrees towards the center. Just the softbox main is aimed at the center, whereas my fill is aimed slightly off center to fill things in. I've got my background clamped onto stands behind me and taped down on the floor as well. And it's really important that you tape the front edges so that you're not tripping over things and or giving an animal something to chew on. So once I've got the position set up, then it's time to adjust the power. So I've got my handy Gossen light meter here. My fill I've metered at f5.6, and I'm metering from the spot where I'm hoping to be able to catch the pet in action. So I kind of have that center area, which I know where it is. There's a bit of a mark on the floor. So I'm going to meter at f5.6 for my fill light there. My main light I'm metering at f6.3. Depending, I'm also taking readings fore and aft to center to get a good idea. I want to shoot with an average because I know I've got lots of dynamic range with my sensor, but I don't want to run into, say, a two-stop difference fore and aft. So I've got about a third of a stop, f7.1 to f6.3 with my main light, depending on position fore and aft. So I'm getting a combined f8, which gives me lots of depth of field for a small pet. If I'm shooting a Great Dane, then I'm going to need a little more depth of field. I'll probably move back further. I'm shooting with the Nikon D810 and the Tamron 70 to 200 2.8. I love using the 70 to 200 because it lets me stay back just far enough that I'm able to get the shot that I'm after and keep everything on the background. If I shoot with a wider angle, I wind up shooting off the background. And as you can see, this background's not very wide. It's meant for pets, small children. It's about, I guess, 4 feet across. So, I'm not doing any 6-foot models on this one. But so once I've metered everything up, I'm using my Cactus trigger in my hand. So when I turn on my meter, I press the trigger on the Cactus V5, and that fires both lights. I'm actually getting an F9 here because I'm slightly forward. So that's a third of a stop. Right on the middle, I'm going to get an F8. So let's try that again. I'll lean back a little bit. And yeah, so I'm getting an F8 there. And that's really what I'm looking for is F8 to F9. I may actually set the camera to F9 to ensure that I'm bang on where the lights are, because it's easier to boost the shadows, because blown highlights, they're gone. There's nothing you can do with them. Whereas if I happen to be slightly underexposed, I can bring the shadows up in Lightroom. And that's a great thing with the Nikon FX sensors, that I'm able to do a lot more in post if I have to. But I'd rather get it right in camera. That's why the light meter. And instead of popping all the time to figure out what my lighting is, I'm able to figure it out with the meter just by pressing a couple of buttons here, and I haven't even touched my camera yet. As you can see, once I get shooting, you got to be pretty fast with the camera. So getting it right in camera means you may take a couple hundred shots when you're learning the behaviors of the animal. You don't want to have to edit all that stuff later on. So get as much right as you can in camera, and then you're just tweaking minor little fixes in Photoshop or Lightroom afterwards. So let's take a look at the shooting process. and then I'll show you some of the shots afterwards.
Sit. 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 Oh, good girl. Yes, you are. Good girl. Stay. Oh. See?
So a couple of tips that I've got for pets. Number one, make sure that they've gone to the bathroom beforehand. Might be a little bit trickier with cats and birds. Lead the cat to the litter box. Dogs, of course, as soon as you take them outside, that tends to do the trick, a little fresh air. But it's really important that the animal's gone to the bathroom ahead of time, because the last thing you want is a mess on your background. And some of these vinyl backgrounds can be really hard to clean. So outside you go, bring them in, give them a good play too, so they're not all hyper when it's time to play. You want to be able to get their attention without having them running all around. And with puppies and kittens, it's really tough to get the exact shot you want every single time, because they are puppies and kittens. And you got to remember that they're just like babies. They're going to be running around. Lots of patience required, but the results, as you can see, really pay off. So keep those two things in mind. If you can, let them have a little bit of a nap as well. Then they're a little more compliant when they first wake up. It always helps to talk to the owner so that you find out what the pet's like, because some are absolutely rangy when they wake up. Others, it takes them a little bit. So your optimal time to photograph them is that time where they're a little more calm than normal, because you don't want them tearing all over the place. You don't want them chewing on cords. So read your pet just like you would any other portrait subject. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to click on the subscribe link, because we've got more stuff like this coming down the road. Lots of great content, maybe some more cute animals as well, although you don't get much cuter than this one. If you like this, don't forget to show us the love. Click the like button. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them down below and we'll get back to you. Thanks and happy shooting. Right? Yes. Yes. You're shush-a-shuck. You're shush-a-shuck.